morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name's Coach Martin Gooden, from CPT Performance and High Performance Living and Nutrition. Today, I'm very honored and I feel very honored to have a special guest on my first podcast of 2024. Now this individual is an exceptional boxer, was an exceptional boxer and still is, and as I said, I have great pleasure in bringing him on the podcast. And the reason why I'm bringing him on the podcast today is because Gary was an exceptional boxer, but most important, and this is what we're trying to get important across, is that when you want to live a high performance lifestyle, there's generally a lot of things what you have to do. And I'm going to have a great conversation with Gary, as I always do. As I said, he's a good friend of mine, and I do remember him from back in the day. And this is very important that we get a lot of these pointers across, as there's going to be a lot of gems what Gary's going to share with us and share his experiences with us as to what he kind of achieved in his life and what he's doing to still kind of live a high performance lifestyle. Good afternoon, Gary.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great, great. How's your day been so far?
I've been to the gym this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it started off really well.
Yeah. Okay. What did you actually do? Was it cardio, boxing?
No. Today I did a little bit of. I did some squats. Worked my legs today.
Yeah. Was that a bit of squats?
Yeah, squats. Leg press.
Yeah.
Some hamstring curls. Yeah. And then like some calves, and then a bit of stretching, and just to keep the body working well.
Cool. How important is it for you to kind of still obviously keep yourself in some form of shape? I can imagine that you don't train as hard as how you used to when you competed, but yeah, well, you know, how important is kind of keeping up some form of physical activity in your life?
Physical activity for me is so important. It's like a part of my life. I tell people this is something that I would do until I leave this planet.
Right.
I even say to my kids, when I'm 100, I want to arrange for me to have a 100-meter race against some 70-year-olds.
Okay. And I'm going to be at the top end of it, yeah?
Yeah. That's it. I'm planning to stay at the top for as long as I can.
Okay, great. So, Gary, what I want you to do is I want to give an introduction of what you kind of achieved in boxing. As I said, I can remember you from Snenton ABA, and you used to beat up a lot of the senior fighters. Your skills were impeccable. And there's no doubt about it that you was an exceptional individual. So what I want you to do is tell me where, and how did you get into boxing? What inspired you?
Yeah, see, that's a very good question, and the way I answer that question, some people probably think, is he being honest? But I always wanted to be a boxer, probably from about the age of 1 year old. And the reason why...
9 years old?
One.
Okay.
One. And the reason why is my uncle, Sammy, used to box. And so I lived in the same house as him. So I'd see him in the house, shadow boxing, with his boxing gloves, talking about boxing, watching boxing.
Yeah.
And as a little child, I always thought, that's what I want to do. I've got photographs of me being 2 years old with boxing gloves on, boxing trophy in a pose, and I always thought that's going to be me. One day I'm going to get in the ring. I want to do this as well. And from that young age, I always really wanted to do it. And obviously, growing up with uncles who boxed, my other uncle Chris used to box.
Yeah,
watching them and having them around me was inspirational for me to feel like this is what I want to do as well. They do it. They're my role models. I want to do this like they're doing it. So that's what kind of triggered me to feel like I want to get into boxing.
Okay. So, Gary, I can remember, obviously, Sam. I think Sam started, was like, I think he was at that part of his career when he was like kind of just training for training. And I remember your uncle Chris, who was an active fighter at the time. Obviously, we were stable mates at Snenton ABA. And obviously, I remember yourself. So was it more Sam got you into it?
Yeah.
Chris really What I'm saying is going to the first time you actually went to the gym.
Yeah.
How did that actually go for you? Was it,
it
brought by your uncles?
It took a long time for me to get to the gym.
Yeah.
At home growing up, we always had boxing gloves in the house.
Yeah.
So even as a young child, probably from the age of about 6 or 7, when I'd go out to play, I'd take boxing gloves out with me. You know, like nowadays you see kids go out with their footballs and kick ball with their friends. I'd take boxing gloves out and say to my friends, come, let's have some boxing matches. Let's go on the grass and spar each other. So that's what we used to do, is to play. Never trying to hurt each other, but just messing around trying to box.
Was this without any form of boxing?
This is without any form of boxing.
Yeah,
without any coaching whatsoever. So from probably about the age of 6 years old onwards, I always wanted to go outside in my boxing gloves with my friends and we'd like do a little bit of sparring on the grass.
Yeah.
And then my uncle Chris started taking boxing more seriously around about that kind of time as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember, I think I was probably about 8 years old when I first went to my first ever boxing show, and Chris boxed.
Right. What? 1 minute there, Gary. Yeah. One second. I'm just going to interrupt you. Right. It's got to get my battery charge here. 1 second. Okay. 1 second. Okay. 1 second. There you go. When you're live, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
That's what happens.
Anything to do with young kids, anything to do with dogs. When you're live, it's always a problem. But yeah, it's all good. We're back to normal now. Batteries on, fully charging. Yeah, Gary. So as we said, you used to spar with like local friends in your community.
Yeah, that's what we used to do on the streets.
Yeah,
and then when I was 8, I went to my first ever boxing show to watch my uncle fight. And
he boxed. Uncle Chris or Sam?
Uncle Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he boxed and he won. And that made me even more determined to want to be a boxer. But another thing that was very inspirational for me, and maybe not for other boxers, but I watched Rocky growing up as well.
Okay.
And watching Rocky and seeing Clubber Lang and Apollo Creed, that made me feel like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I've got to learn. So even at primary school, I remember thinking, I'm going to be a boxer, but I need to know how to skip. And I didn't have a clue about skipping. I didn't have a skipping rope at home, but they had skipping ropes at school.
Yeah.
So I know that at school back then, only girls used to skip. Boys never skipped.
Right.
So I would get a skipping rope. I'd go and hide around the back so no one can see me and just teach myself how to skip. So I just jump around like I seen on the Rocky films. And and eventually I taught myself how to skip. And I'd always think, I can skip now. I can skip. I'm getting ready to be this boxer that I've always dreamed about.
Right. Okay. So basically, did you know while you was going through that process before you even actually stepped into an amateur boxing club, right? Would you sparring with some more, like you have your uncle and what love tip tap, your belly and all them kind of thing. When it's sparring and in a way, it's like kind of getting you ready for the next level. Okay. Was you like sparring with your uncles, or was you just watching them and obviously getting the basic stuff from them, i.e. like from the footwork with the skipping and stuff like that? So how much input were your actually uncles giving you in the sense of
at that time, they probably felt like he says he wants to be a boxer, but I don't know if he really does. Yeah. So they didn't really do that much with me. So most of it was me watching them. But every time Sammy would come, he'd always like mess about and do a little bit of shadow boxing with me kind of thing.
Yeah,
so do like a bit of horseplay. So we used to do that a lot. But like I said, they never really felt like I really, really wanted to be a boxer because they know how hard boxing is. So they felt like he's only a little child. He's saying he wants to box, but once you get punched in the face, he might change his mind. Okay.
So can you actually remember your first visit to the actual amateur club?
Yeah.
Can you actually remember it like yesterday?
Like yesterday.
Was you nervous? Because you
No,
know it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Personally, I remember it took me probably 6 months to actually walk through the door.
wow.
So I know, you know, people think it's nervous. It's not normal to be hit. You know what I mean? It's not a normal thing to be hit. Okay. So you would expect to be nervous. Obviously, as you get experience, I suppose what you get used to. So can you actually remember your first visit to the boxing gym in the sense of walking through that door and meeting the other young lads and feeling the energy in there? Okay,
I remember going to the gym, and this wasn't Snenton gym. Snenton was the first gym I went to.
Right.
I went to a gym in, I think it was in Baseford.
Okay.
That my uncle Sammy took me to when I was about 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about the gym. All I remember in the gym is I was in there and I was probably just trying to hit a bag. I went with one of my cousins, Dean, and there was these two other guys who's young guys, probably the same age as us. Yeah. And I heard them say, "Oh, look, there's Apollo Creed," like on about me. And that made me feel good. Like, yeah. So I started like hitting the bag harder, thinking like, yeah, this is it. My dream's coming true. And then after that, they never took me again.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Do you know the thing is, like, I don't know if my uncle Sammy took me. I don't know if that was his first time at that gym, and he probably thought, let's go and have a look. So he took me, and he never went back, and I never went back. So after that, that was the end. It started so well, but ended very quickly.
Okay. So from there, where did you move on after that?
So it wasn't until a few years after that where I finally got to go to the gym, because my uncle Chris, he was like boxing on and off.
Yeah.
And so when I was 13, he started boxing again properly.
Yeah.
And I used to ask him to take me to the gym. I say, Chris, let me come gym with you, please. He said, no, you won't like it, And then he'd just go and leave me. And then another week I'd ask him, oh, let me come boxing. Oh, no, you don't like boxing. You don't like it. And I'd say, please. And I just kept begging him for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then one day he said, all right, then, if you say you want to go, come then, let's go. So he took me with me.
Yeah.
Took me with him, sorry. But I think the reason why he was saying you don't like it is because, as you know, Snenton wasn't like these top of the range gyms that people go to today. Snenton was old school boxing gym.
Yeah, true.
It was roof. There was no heating. It was like in the back of a pub.
Yes.
We had to go through some barn doors.
Yeah, old stables, man.
Yeah, like an old stable. We had to climb up a ladder to go into the roof to spar. Yeah. So when my uncle was experiencing that, he's thinking, there's no way Gary's going to like this. I can't take it. He's not going to like it. But I begged him. I said, Chris, I need to go. Please take me. Yeah. And when he took me, I remember the first day that he took me, he drove me down there. Okay. I remember his car. He had a Saab, but he had a cream-colored Saab. And he drove me to the gym. And I remember being so excited, thinking, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to a boxing gym.
Yeah.
And I walked in the gym, and the first thing I noticed is the smell of like the sweat and the old gloves,
the damp,
and
the
damp what was in the place. But I just knew this is boxing. This is what boxing is about.
Yeah.
I remember looking at the guys and looking at people and thinking, wow, I wonder if I'm going to go in the ring with some of these guys, like guys who are about the same size and age as me.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember having that first session. And to be honest, I remember sparring on that first day, because that's how it used to be. Health and safety isn't like how it is now. Like nowadays in boxing, they teach you stance and guard. They teach you a bit of footwork. Before you ever spar, you've been in the gym for 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas back then, the first day, you was in sparring.
Yeah, true.
So
true. You remember that. It was a bit more, you was pushed a bit more into it, especially if they're seen, you know, what I can recall is that a lot of the clubs used to put you much in a deep end.
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of the clubs were very busy. Very busy. There was not that selection of so much clubs around the UK as well as Nottingham. So it meant that a lot of the coaches had to think, well, is it worth me investing my time into this individual? Because at the end of the day, it's no point them having somebody who gets punched, okay, and they've spent like probably six months dealing with them for them to get punched and think, you know what, they don't want it no more. So I used to notice that there was some guys what used to be novices put in certain positions, okay, and a lot of it was to do with, is it worth the coach's investment of their time in this individual if they cannot take a bit of what they're gonna take eventually along the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. So another question for you, Gary. Yeah. Which coach that you work with really encourage you? Now, obviously, I can imagine that you've worked with a vast amount of coaches, okay, in your journey, and obviously, coaches what bring different things to you, okay, not only technically but probably with a lot of wisdom and life skills and stuff like that. So, what coach really stands out, or coaches stands out, okay, along your journey?
Yeah, I think there's probably about 4 coaches really what stand out, and the first one I've got to say is Tommy Thompson.
Tommy Thompson, yeah, cool.
He's definitely the standout coach, because when I went to the gym, he was the coach at Snenton Boxing Club, and that was the gym that I got involved with.
Yeah,
and he did so much foundational work with me to build me up. Like, I watched Harold Bomber Graham watching box as a boxer, and I watched him so much, and he was a southpaw, that I thought everyone fights in the southpaw stance.
Right.
So when I went to the gym, I stood in the southpaw stance and do my boxing. But Tommy noticed straight away. He said to me, what hand do you write with? I said, I write with my right hand. He said, you're in the wrong stance. You need to switch around.
Okay.
But all my years when I've been sparring at home and messing about with my friends on the street, I've always been southpaw. So then in the gym, I was turned back to orthodox, but then sometimes I'd switch back to southpaw, and then eventually I just ended up just doing both. But Tommy was the key person. He did so much foundational stuff, correcting the way I throw my punches, getting my defense right, my movement. He did so much. Tommy was so good. And it was, the only sad part was that he wasn't there long enough, because after I'd had about 6 fights through different personal issues and stuff, Tommy had to leave the gym for a while. Okay. But he was the first person.
Really?
Yeah, he was the first person. Tommy was.
What really inspired you?
To be honest, not only then, even now, when I think of Tommy now, I still think Tom. And like, I've been to Tommy's even recently, and I think, wow, he's one of the best. Seriously,
legendary, man, legendary.
Legend. He's legend. Tommy's one of the best.
Yeah, definitely. Big respect to Tommy. And in a time where, you know, I see, okay, is a lot of fighters immolating, or boxers immolating. I'm not talking about pros. I'm on about guys who are at the rudiment stages of boxing. I see them immolating a lot of the ones who they're inspired by, which is normal, okay, but a lot of them do not have the rudiments of boxing. And you know, as you know, Gary, there's only so far you'll go before you start getting exposed as to really you don't really kind of know the rudiments, which is very important. So so Tommy, definitely, is there another coach what you want to put in?
The second coach, which this coach probably did more for me than any other coach, and when I say that, I mean in terms of opportunities. Fred Jones.
Oh, Fred
Jones, because when Tommy had to leave, Fred was just someone who was just helping out at the gym, kind of thing. He wasn't really a coach. His son attended the gym, and he thought, you know what, Tommy's going to go, so I'll just step in. If it wasn't for Fred, the whole club would have shut down right there and then. That would have been the end. And then I don't know where I would have went after that, and how my career would have progressed. But Fred put so much time and effort into me and all the other boxers.
I remember. Not in them golden gloves then, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And Fred was learning on the job, because Fred never really had much boxing experience beforehand. So he was learning on the job. Whereas Tommy was qualified and had a lot of experience in boxing and was a high elite boxer. So Fred was doing everything he knew how to do to help us, and he did. Shows up and down the country.
True.
His wife would always wash all our kit. When we get our kit, it was ironed. It would smell nice. He'd make sandwiches for us. After the shows, he'd take us to go and eat chips or whatever we wanted.
You know what, Gary? I'm glad you brought that up, because you know, whatever the level, you know, if somebody's at amateur level, okay, from the person who deals with the beginners to the person who deals with the guys who are, say, fighting in ABA finals, to the person who matchmates, the person who, you know, the person who matchmates for their shows, to the
Yeah,
person who drives the van. Okay, so it's the teamwork, and going on to professional level, when people are getting the accolades, at top level, world title level, okay, remember that they come from an amateur background, most of them.
Exactly.
Okay? And the person who's probably been part of the process, the main part of the process, really never gets a real look in. Really, you know, they're just at roots level, grassroots level.
Yeah,
they never get a look in. The person who gets a look in is the current hot trainer who's taking on a person who knows all the rudiments, who's had the schooling at amateur level, and obviously it's the trainer at the top what gets all the accolades. But yeah, I'm glad you touched on that, because Fred wasn't a brilliant coach. You know, he would say that, but he was a great clubman, and he was there as a father figure for most of us. As soon as you walk through his door, you know what I mean? Always gave us sandwiches and stuff like that, as you said. Make sure we watered and fed after fights. And that, you say, is, to me, is as good as the person who trains the best fighters as well, because it's all a process.
You know, something else that Fred did that at the time was he was like a pioneer, really. You know, nowadays everyone has a phone, everyone's recording everything. Whereas back then, people didn't have that access to phones and recording. But Fred got a video camera and used to record all our fights. And so he would record our fights and give us a videotape with our fights on, and we could watch back over our fights. Whereas most clubs never had that opportunity to watch back over their fights.
So like analysts, it's like kind of analysts, isn't it?
That's right. You can analyze your fights and look back over them and think, "Wow, I could have done this better, or could have done that better." That helped so much as well to have that. So Fred has to get his credit, because he did so much for all of us.
That's true. So Gary, who was your toughest opponent at every level? You know what I mean? On any level.
This is a good question. That's a good question, because I've been in the ring with a lot of people, and if you say toughest, do you mean like as a fight or sparring as well?
Yeah. So in sparring, we always have a nemesis.
Nemesis,
somebody who you didn't like sparring with, but you know you had to do it. And I mean, my nemesis was Javid Khalik, and I know you beat him up, right? But mine was Javid Khalik, because he was good at counter punching. If you didn't get your shots off and move out the way or come off at an angle, Javid's having you with his counter punches.
Jav was a very good fighter. Well, he went on to become IBO world champion, didn't he?
World champion,
So Jav was a very good fighter, definitely. So I'll give Jav his credit, because I think he was very good, very slick, very tricky. His name was Too Sneak Khalik. He was a tricky customer, definitely. He was a good fighter, Jav was.
Okay.
So
for you, sparring or even obviously competing?
All right, I'll say competing first. I'll say competing and sparring, because it's different in both ways, I think. For competing, for all the people I've boxed against, people would probably assume that it's maybe one of the high-end level guys that I boxed who maybe gave me my hardest fight. The hardest fight I ever had was coming back into boxing after being out for 23 years.
Okay.
So imagine you haven't boxed for 23 years. There's probably, I don't think there's been ever a fighter who's not boxed for 23 years and then gone back into boxing and started boxing again.
Wow.
Like, that's a long time out of the ring. And then not only was it a long time out of the ring, I jumped straight back in at the deep end. So I said I want to fight all the elite guys. I don't want to fight these up-and-coming guys, because there's no point. So I jumped in at 3 frees. So the first fight I had, I can't remember the guy's name, to be honest, but that fight was so hard. Like, it was, the first round wasn't hard and the second round wasn't hard. The last round was hard, and it was so hard because I was so tired in that fight. Like, I felt like I hadn't even trained, and this guy was putting so much pressure on me, and I was thinking, wow, am I going to win this fight? Like, this is my first fight back. How can I feel that? I've never felt like that in a fight ever. And I remember that's my first fight after 23 years, and I've jumped right in at the deep end, and this guy made me work. He made me work so hard to the point where I thought, wow, am I even going to end up on the floor in this fight? Like, they're putting so much pressure on me, but I just felt like I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And even in the fight, I've never had asked myself certain questions before in a fight. In that fight, I was asking myself questions in this fight. And I was even talking to myself, I was thinking, Gary, if you lose this fight, you got to retire straight away. And I was thinking that during the fight. I've never thought anything like that ever. The fight was so hard. And the fight was so hard that it even impacted my next 2 fights after that, because I thought, wow, I don't want to get tired like that, like I did in the last fight. So my next 2 fights, I was quite a bit cautious, holding back a bit, thinking I've got to make sure I can do these 3 threes because it's been a long time. But that was definitely the hardest fight I ever had by far.
Okay. How long did it take you to prepare for that fight? How long was you, how long was you camp in theory? And how much time did you give yourself for that?
Not long. Probably about 3 months.
Wow. That's still not a lot.
It's not a lot, is it? You know, out the ring for 23 years, then you come back, train for 3 months and think, right, let me go back in the deep end.
Okay. So that sounds to me like a very, obviously, apart from the conditioning, that was a very mental thing.
It was mental. That's what it was. More than anything, it was mental. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So would you say that person is there anybody what you fought more than once? Okay. Well, I suppose you would have done that in sparring, but like on a competitive level where they were they were always a tough fight. You really had to think about what you were doing. You really had to be switched on for the rounds, what you were doing with them.
Yeah, there's a guy from our club, John Cahoot, I think his name was.
John Co-op.
John Co-op. He was tough as anything. John
was
very good. He was a good fighter.
Yeah.
He was. I remember at the time, I was probably maybe say 15, 16, and he probably was about 21, 22. So he's a bit older than me. So he's bigger and stronger, but he always gave me a hard spar all the time. There was never a time where it was easy with him. Like never a time. Yeah. He always challenged me every single time, to be honest.
Okay. You see. Yeah. And he had a very, if I remember rightly, he had a very upright stance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very, you get me? He was just kind of unconventional, a bit unconventional.
Exactly. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He gave me problems. He definitely gave me problems for certain.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I like sparring because I knew I was learning.
Yes.
I don't want it my own way all the time. I need to learn. I need to know what it's like to be in the deep end. I need to know what it's like when things aren't going your way, how you're going to respond. You need to learn that in the gym and not on the night of a fight.
Right. Okay. So the first guy's name was what then, if you remember?
The guy who I fought, I can't remember his name, the guy I boxed, but I did win, obviously.
Beat him,
but it was a really tough fight.
Okay. And the other one was obviously...
But that fight was tough mentally. It wasn't anything. That was just mental. It wasn't that the guy was better than me.
Yeah.
It was just mental. But then John Cahoot, he was he was very good. But then even I tell you another guy, he gave me problems for years. He gave me problems for Fidel Smith.
Fidel
Smith.
Yeah.
Fidel Smith gave me problems all the time for years.
Yeah.
For years. Like, to be honest, Fidel used to beat me up in sparring.
He used to beat me up, man.
Like, he said, just beat me up. Like, he didn't have no mercy. He's thinking, right, I'm beating this guy up. And he used to just beat me up all the time. And remember, I was only a kid. I don't know how old Fidel is older than me. Fidel must be probably more than 10 years older than me, Fidel is.
Yeah, Fidel's not giving his age, but is in the senior ages now. You know
That's what I'm saying. So Fidel's a lot older than me. So remember, when I'm like 15 and you're sparring a man who's bigger than you, heavier than you, who's more experienced than you, who's a professional boxer, and is more than 10 years older than you, it's not going to be easy. So I'm saying I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm sparring a man who's at least 10 years older than me, who's giving me help.
You know, with Fidel, it's weird. It's weird because, as you say, I think most people who stuck around and at least had 8 years, 10 years experience at Snenton, would have had to get beat up by him. But as you say, Gary, those kind of beat up was always a confidence boost in the sense of if you can do more rounds with him, that means you must be getting better. Okay. Or if you can my mental thing was, if I can spar with him for a few rounds, okay, when I go and compete against the amateurs, it just should make it a little bit easier, because there was always something to learn from him.
Exactly.
And my biggest thing of learning from him was body shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I learned, to be honest, I learned a lot from Fidel. I learned a lot. I have a lot of respect for Fidel. I learned a lot from him. And to be honest, because of the kind of mindset I have a winner's mindset. Like, in my mind, I think I'm King Kong. I can beat the world. Even though I'd spar with Fidel and it wouldn't go the way I'd like it to go, in my mind, I used to think, wait till next time.
Yeah.
Every time I used to think that. Every time I think, wait till next time. Wait till next time. Wait till next time. And so I thought that for years, and I just kept trying harder and trying harder. And then the last time I sparred with Fidel, I think I was 17. Yeah. And I sparred with Fidel, and I would say it was 50-50, this sparring was. And this is the first time ever it's been that those type of odds. Normally, it would always be like 80-20. Yeah. Or sometimes 70-30. This time, it was 50-50. And in my mind, I thought, yes, I'm there. I'm at that place now where I want to be. Remember, this time, I'm only amateur still. Fidel was like British champion, fighting, nearly on the verge of fighting for world title. Yeah. And for me, I felt like one more year, and it's in my favor.
It's takeover time.
Yeah, it's one more year, it's in my favor. And so I was happy because it showed me that I was growing. Yeah. You know, I never was scared to spar with Fidel. I know it's not going to go my way at first, but it showed me I was developing and growing, and that's what I wanted to do. I just thought, I want to be the best. I'm not going to be scared to go in the ring with someone. There's no point me having easy sparring all the time because it's not going to help me. So I was happy to spar with different styles and people who was way levels above me. I was learning from them.
Okay. So a question, what I don't know how true it is. Was you going to Sheffield and actually sparring with Prince Naseem at the time when you was a schoolboy?
Yes, I was.
You was in the presence of him,
Yeah, nice to spar with Naz all the time. Like, when I used to go to Sheffield, like Errol Bomber Graham used to, he was like a good close family friend. In a way, he was like my uncle. And I'm still in touch with him even to this day, to be honest. He used to pick me up sometimes on a Friday and take me to Sheffield until Sunday. So I train on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Sheffield and come back. So by doing that quite often, I got to know Prince Naseem, Johnny Nelson, Errol Bomber Graham, Ryan Rhodes, and all the other guys who was at the gym at the time. And me and Naz got on really, really well. We connected really well. And Brendan used to, in a way, it's like me and Naz sparring, but in another way, he didn't, because me and Naz would spar, and it would be good sparring. It would be good sparring. But obviously, if I do anything to hurt Naz, then Naz will want to get a bit more aggressive. But then obviously I'm a bit bigger than Naz, and Brendan knows if he gets too aggressive, obviously they say a good big un beats a good little un. And so obviously Brendan would have shouted, time. But me and Naz, we had loads of good sport. Me and Naz did. We did.
Is that familiar one? Is that familiar one there where the coach and the other fighter sees his fighter getting beat up, and all of a sudden, the clock, whether it be a 2 minute or 2 minute, is cutting off.
That happens. But to be honest, I never beat Naz up in sparring. We always have competitive sparring. The one thing I noticed about Naz is, remember, Naz is a lot smaller than me. Naz punched probably just as hard as I punched. When I first ever sparred with him, in my mind, I thought, wow, is this guy doing weights? I'm thinking, how can this guy so small be punching the way he punched hard? Like hard for a small guy. But we always had good sparring. I never got beat up. He never got beat up. It was good sparring. But obviously in Sheffield, they got lots of tricks. So I would learn these tricks and then do the same tricks on them. So I might do a trick on Naz and hit Naz at the same time. Naz might even chip back and fall down, but then jump up thinking, I'm going to get you for that. And then Brendan would say, time, because he knows it's going to turn into a war.
I understand. I understand.
Well, me and Naz fought on the same bill. A few times we won national titles together on the same bill.
That's brilliant, man. Brilliant. So
Gary, even like, go on.
Sorry. Even
I was going to say, I remember like even one that was, I've been in the boxing news all the time for different things and whatever. And I remember like when I won, I think it was my first national title, and the headlines was something like Mayor Shines or something, like big and a big massive write-up about me. And then when I read the article and then I see all the other guys who fought on that bill, I'm thinking, wow, they had me like I was a star. Like Naseem fought on that bill, Dean Piffy fought on that bill. I can't remember all the different Kelly Oliver and some other names. Quite a few guys who went on did okay as professionals.
Yes,
was on that bill, and every time I was fighting, there's headline Gary Mayer. I don't know if that gives you a little bit of boost for like, I'm getting good write-ups and getting good write-ups in the boxing news.
Okay. Right. The other thing as well, Gary, I remember, as well as you saying taking, being out for so long and coming back, you was put in a very, I wouldn't say privileged because you earned the right of what you've done to get in a position. But I know that Carl Froch put you, okay, and he won't put anybody on there if they're not doing something to benefit him. He was part of his training camps for his world title fights. Now, can you just elaborate on this? And I know what he used to say was that, he loves sparring with you because, early rounds you can really technically and keep up with him, the early stages in the early rounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, can you share some experience?
I'll say this first and foremost, and sounds like an excuse, and in a way it probably is. But when I sparred with Carl, I was never fit. I was never fit. Like, I should just go gym and just tick over and do my own little bits. And then one day, I seen Carl in the gym and we was chatting. And he said, this on like a Friday, and says, Gary, on Tuesday, I'll come down the gym and do a bit of sparring. There's nothing heavy, just some light sparring. I thought, all right, that's fine, that's cool. And I thought, I'm up for that. So light messing about sparring, I probably could do 6, 7, 8 rounds of that. But if it's serious sparring, it's a whole different thing.
Yes.
So then the Tuesday I've come down, I've jumped in the ring, thinking some light sparring. Within 30 seconds, Carl's throwing some bombs, mate. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy's not taking it easy on me. He's going for it.
Yeah.
So after that first ever spar, I thought, Gary, you've got to get fit, man, because you're not even fit. Like, when I say I wasn't fit, I wasn't fit. So I started running a bit more, but I worked full time and I didn't have the time to, remember, Carl's an elite athlete, so he's training 3 times a day. He's super fit, and we know he's got a fantastic engine. And so I tried to get as fit as I possibly could. And then Carl would want me to be in his camp, and he'd pay me to sparring. So we used to have a lot of sparring, and the sparring was really, really good, to be honest. Like I said, the early rounds was really, like, I'll say what people said. I remember sparring at a gym called Liberty's Gym, and at the time it was where it used to be, not where it is now. And loads of people used to gather there. People would come out the barber shop to come and to watch. Everyone was there watching this sparring. So there's lots of witnesses. So it's not like I'm saying anything that's not true.
Yes.
And after the sparring, someone said, Gary, I thought you was a world champion in that ring.
Wow.
That's what someone said to me.
Yeah.
And me and Carl had some good sparring. Carl hit me with some good shots. The shot Carl knocked out George goes with, Carl landed that same shot on me one time. The same shot. He landed the same shot.
Wow.
But thankfully, I stayed on my feet and I was able to continue and carry on.
So exactly the same thing, the feint.
I don't even know if it was a feint. I can't remember, but I know
he
landed right hand. I was on the ropes. I was on the ropes, just like Groves was, and he's thrown the right, and he's caught me flush with the right, flush, bam.
Wow.
But I took my head and it's come straight back in, like nothing. So I had a good chin. I remember I had a lot of fights. I've sparred thousands of rounds, and thank God I've never been knocked out. I've never even been knocked down ever.
Wow.
So I know I've got a good chin. So even when Paul's hit me with his good shots, I've took them and just come straight back. So the sparring with Carl, I learned a lot sparring with Carl, to be honest.
Okay.
Even though I was happy to get paid, I would have done it for free. Because I tell you why, because one, a lot of people who've heard about me before thought, oh, I've heard that guy can box. They was able to see it with their own eyes.
Right, okay.
So it's not just talk no more. Modern day people can say, well, listen, I've seen Gary sparring Froch. I know what Gary can do because I've seen it with my own eyes. So I was happy to spar with Carl. I learned a lot from sparring with Carl. I think Carl's a great fighter. He done what he did in the ring can never be questioned. He did amazing in boxing. He's got a great engine. He's got a great chin. He's got great power. And he bites down on his gum shield when he's ready and says, right, let me go for it. But obviously, because the way I fight and I move and that, even when I'm tired, I know how to survive. So I'll slip a shot, slide a shot, get in close, hold, turn him. So in the later rounds, when I get tired, I have to do a lot of that.
Yeah. You see a lot, as you say, Gary. It's like a lot of it stems from the rudiments and the consistent training. What you do in the amateurs, it's a different ball game. What you see from somebody who's like taking it up, like say from a white collar perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you know, that shot what put Groves away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's years of experience. Throw the feint. He's going to drop his hand. Bang.
Bang.
You know what I mean? Rather than just going hook actually throwing them. It was a setup.
Yeah, it was a setup. Great shot. Great shot from him.
Great shot. Setup. These things you learn as an amateur, man. It's all rudiment stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So as you say, doing things as boxing is not just doing things for doing things' sake. There's normally something behind it, whether it's to do with your feet or whether it's a feint, whether it's a triple dab. You know, I'm set these things up. Exactly. And a lot of it is, as you said, there's teachers. There's teachers who teach you this. Coaches, some coaches won't teach you this. Teachers will teach you this.
Listen, I heard I heard Chris Eubank say something that I agree with 100%. And what he said is a lot of coaches nowadays are PE teachers.
PE teachers, yeah.
Get you fit, but they don't know how to teach you anything.
True.
And this is why some fighters are struggling. This is why I like go back to Tommy. Tommy taught you things.
Yeah.
He could teach you things. He wasn't saying he's getting you fit. He was teaching you how to be a boxer.
Yeah.
A lot of guys now, and I watch boxing now, they're very, very fit, but there's lots of skills that they're missing.
Yeah.
I see them and I think, wow, you're falling short. You might need to get another coach so you can learn something, so you can make your game even better.
Better, yeah. Have more tools in it. More tools in the tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So you fought Joshua Buasti.
Yeah. That's something. Remember, I jumped at the deep end.
Yeah. So you fought Joshua, yeah? What was that in? What was that in?
In the ABAs.
ABAs, right?
Yeah. So you got like obviously I had to go through all the rounds. Went in the ABAs, go through all the rounds, and then you get to like the finals weekend. We have to have like 3 fights, and whoever wins is the ABA champion.
Yeah.
Because Joshua Buasti was on the England squad and the GB squad and representing is good for the Olympics when he's about to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go through none of the competing early rounds. He just joins the late rounds.
Yeah.
Which it never used to be that years ago. No matter who you was, you still had to start at the beginning like everyone else. Whereas he's joined in later on. We had a good fight. To be honest, I thought I was going to beat him.
Yeah,
I did think I was going to beat him, to be honest. I'd seen him fight a couple of times in his international fights, and I thought, I know I can beat this guy. And we had a good fight. It was a close fight. I lost on a majority decision.
Yeah. Some
people who was there said, "Oh, Gary, I thought you won." I don't think I won, to be honest. I don't think I did enough.
You didn't think you won?
No, I don't. I don't think I did enough. I have to be honest with myself. But Joshua Buasti is a good fighter. Yeah. And he's a good guy. I like him. I like him a lot. He's a good guy. Sometimes even now I still speak to him on social media.
Yeah.
So he's a good guy.
That's
a good guy. I've got a lot of respect for him. Yeah. But I also sparred with Anthony Yard as well.
Oh, Yardy.
Yeah, I sparred with Yardy as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm always in touch with Tundi. Tundi and Spencer Fear and the good friends of mine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the Real Fight Club in London. Don't know if you remember the Real Fight Club in London?
Sure.
At Bethnal Green.
Okay.
Used to be run by a guy called Alan Lacey.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
That's where I actually know them from. So,
okay.
I still keep in touch with them, and it's good to see their elevation in what they're doing as well.
Yeah, of course. I wish success for everybody. I wish success for everyone. Seriously, good on them.
Yardy, great. Yeah, you sparred with Yardy. Was that at Peacocks? Was that or
it was in London? It wasn't at Peacocks. It was at another gym in London.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at another gym. A guy I know who's like a football agent. He arranged it. He just said to me, "Gary, I've got some sparring for you. Come down to London and spar." I didn't know who I was sparring.
Yeah.
So I've just gone down there. It was Yardy, Anthony Yard.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was he the only one you sparred with it, or was it a
I
Hara?
sparred with him first, and then after him, I sparred with another guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sparred with 2 guys there at the gym that day. Yeah.
Okay.
But it went well.
I won't ask you how it got on. I won't ask you how you got on.
I'll tell you, it went well. It went really well.
Well,
It went really well. Like, to be honest, Anthony Yard's a different fighter now. He's developed so much more now. But then it wasn't as good as he is now.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as he is now. But the sparring went really well.
Yeah.
To be honest, and I don't say this to big myself, I'm just being honest. I don't think I've been in the ring with anyone who's better than me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't think I've ever been in the ring with anyone better than me. I might have lost a couple of times because of different reasons, but I don't think I've been in the ring with anyone who's better than me.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
Well, as I said, I know you was exceptional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I recall, you always find a way. You know what I mean? Once you read their book and you could read their book, then it's all yours. It's all yours.
Exactly. But I love boxing. I love boxing, and I see all those guys. Like, I speak to a lot of these guys. I speak to Dan Aziz, who's fighting Buasti next. So I speak to Dan Aziz. I was supposed to fight Dan Aziz as well, but when he came to fight me, I was injured on that day, so I couldn't fight. So a guy who I'd already fought and beat, he fought Dan Aziz and beat him.
Right.
So, but I was at that show. So me and Dan sometimes speak on social media, or me and Buasti do. I don't really speak to Anthony Yard. But, all those guys, I wish them every success. Every single one of them. They're in boxing. Boxing's a hard sport. Brilliant. It's a lonely sport. Brilliant. So I wish all those guys every success. I hope, obviously, not everyone's going to be at the top of the tree, because once Buasti and Dan Aziz fight, one of them's going to succeed and go on, and one's going to have to stall a little bit. But I like them all, and I in fact, there's a good fight on this Saturday as well. Beterbiev and Smith.
Yeah.
That's good. And I wish both of them good. I want Smith to win. I hope Smith wins that fight.
Yeah.
And I think he can.
I'm glad you said that though, Gary. I'm glad you hit upon that point of wishing every man well. You know what I mean? From the losers to the winners. You know, to the guys at the bottom, to the guys at the top, because as you say, there's always a price to pay for everything. And you know, for all the success, there's a lot of, I won't say failure, there's a lot of heartache, there's a lot of mental health, you know what I mean? There's a lot of nearlies, you know what I mean? The nearlies, what will haunt you for life, the nearlies, the Harold Graham nearlies. The fighters what nearly, the guys what had the wrong kind of management, who were exceptionally brilliant, who weren't the right kind of management.
Fidel could have done it if it wasn't for the robbery when he got robbed against
Emery Wharton.
Emery Wharton.
Yeah, that's
right. Won that fight, he would have went on to fight for a world title, or went on to fight Nigel Benn.
Yeah, or there was another fighter who he would have been lined up for, Victor Nardello, I think it was. You know what I mean? As you said, Ben went on to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So Gary, what do you take from boxing in the sense of habits and the discipline into your day-to-day life from then till now? You know what I mean? What do you actually take from it? What you use in a positive way, in your day-to-day life?
Yeah. I'm so thankful for the boxing lifestyle, because the boxing lifestyle gives you, above all else, discipline.
Yeah.
And being a disciplined person is what's needed to live a high performance life. It's definitely, you've got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And so in boxing, you get up early, you go to the gym, you go for a run, you go gym, you've got to eat a certain way, you've got to sleep a certain way. How I am to this day, because of lots of the disciplines I learned from boxing, I like to get at least 8 hours sleep every day. I think sleep is so underrated, and people need to get sleep. I think if you want to perform well, you've got to be getting your sleep. If you're not sleeping well, you're going to struggle to perform well. And I think that's such a big thing. But then also, I feel like it's good to keep yourself hydrated as well. So to try to make sure you're getting enough water in you every single day. Yeah. Those are some of the things. But then exercising. I still exercise. Like I said, I've been gym today. So I still will train. I don't train to the same level I used to. But I still have an attitude of training all the time, sleeping well, and then also eating well. Even though I don't box no more, I always think I don't ever want to be out of shape.
Yeah.
I don't want to be overweight. So I think, like some people say to me, "Oh, Gary, how'd you get a six-pack?" I said, "6-packs are made in the kitchen. They're made in the kitchen. You're not going to get it in the gym. If you're not eating right, it don't matter how hard you train. You won't ever see a six-pack. You've got to be eating right. And whatever way you've got to do it is whatever. I don't believe in people just dieting. Just have a lifestyle of eating right.
Yeah. Cooking
food from scratch.
Yeah.
Eating lots of vegetables and including some fruits in your life.
Yeah.
Obviously eating meat as well, but not these microwave meals or takeaway meals. Some days I look out my window. In fact, not some days. Most days I look out the window and I see Deliveroo, Uber Eats, and all these different people's houses, and I wonder, do people even cook food anymore? And so I think it's important to sleep well, keep yourself hydrated, eat well, and I think and obviously exercise. And when you're doing those things all together, it helps for high performance in whatever else you're doing, and it helps you feel good. Like I said to someone only even today, I said to them, physically, I still feel like I did when I was 20, and I'm not exaggerating. If I have a race with someone today, I think I will still win. 100-meter race. I think I will still win. And it's only because I'm trying to look after myself. I want longevity. I want to be able to still be able to be at the top of the tree, performing in a great way, rather than, oh, now I'm getting older, I'm getting aches and pains, and I can't do this no more. I can't. And I know that can happen sometimes, but I say as you get older, train smarter and not harder. Just be smart about how you train and get whatever you can out of it. And so that would be my answer to that question.
So obviously that's like physical, So mentally, how do you keep, how do you keep your mental state again fit? Because being mentally fit, physical fit, two different things. So in your daily lifestyle, how important is it for you to be looking at ways how you can develop yourself, i.e. self-development, maybe educate yourself, or read or listen to a podcast, what's going to elevate your mindset, or being around certain people what are going to, again, elevate your thinking and get you thinking, rather than thinking single-minded in the sense of one-track minded. It's going to open your mind to other people's opinion and open your mind up to also being more knowledgeable, not just on one thing, but on different aspects of things what can affect us in a positive way, or even sometimes in a negative way.
Do you know there's the scripture in the Bible what says a wise man will hear and will increase learning? And so I feel like it's important to repeat
that again, Gary.
A wise man will hear and will increase learning. And I think it's so important. So I actually read. I read every single day. I listen to lots of stuff. When I go jogging or I'm at the gym and I got my headphones in, 99% of the time I'm not listening to music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to some influential preaching messages. And these things stir me up and keep me sharp mentally. So I feel like I'm learning all the time. I don't just feel like, oh, I'm just going to just listen to music all the time. I do listen to music, but most of the times, if you see me with headphones in, it's not music I'm listening to. Every day I feel like it's important to try to invest into myself. And so in terms of keeping mentally sharp, there's some of the things. I read the Bible every day as well. And I feel like that does a lot in terms of like renewing my mind. And I also tell people, if you think differently, you'll act differently. And so by me doing that, reading that all the time, it's helping me to think differently. I'm not perfect, but it helped me to think differently. So then it's helping me to act differently. And it's helping my life so much.
True.
So much.
That's a good few words there, Gary. Brilliant few words, because normally what my experience is that nobody chats ill and reacts with positive actions. The person who normally quite positive, quite upbeat, follows through with the same kind of action. I mean, so
exactly.
As you say, that makes a hell of a lot of sense in what you're actually saying. You know what I mean? And it's for me trying to uplift my life has made me uplift my clients' lives. For me, also being around certain people has educated me in a sense of there's, you know, you can be a certain way, and you can learn, and you can keep on learning.
Exactly.
Okay? And we're never we never know too much
exactly
to learn. You know what I mean? You know, if you're always the best in the room, come out of it and go in another room where you're not the best in the room. Okay, and just keep on growing that way. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
so,
I believe in that.
You believe in that as well, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is if you can give me three tips for young people, and then at the same time, three tips for older people of maybe our age. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that. The reason why I say this is that I feel there's a lot of people of our age who may have given up on life. Okay, yes, life is a journey, and it's full of a lot of ups for some people, and it's full of a lot of downs for people. And equally, there's young people who are yet to experience certain things or experience life as it actually is. Okay, where, you know, I feel that you may have some knowledge and some wisdom to share with them. So if you can give me
my first tip I'd give would be to young and old, anybody.
Yeah.
And this is definitely, I think, poignant in terms of the world that we're an age we live in now. We hear so much people talk about mental health, and so much talk about people being anxious and anxiety. And like I said, I read the Bible, and the Bible says, be anxious for nothing. Don't be anxious about anything. But in everything, make your prayers be made known unto God, and the peace of God will keep your heart and your mind. And so I believe if you pray and ask God, this is what I'm going through, I believe that God is able to help you and give you peace that passes all understanding, that keeps your heart and keeps your mind. So it keeps you stable. So everyone who's going through challenges in life, and everyone at times faces a little rough patch, I believe that God's peace is able to keep people's hearts and minds. So once your mind's at peace, everything else can be at peace. When your mind's in turmoil, it's hard to focus and do anything. Some people struggle to even cook a meal for their children when their mind's in turmoil. Struggle to be productive at work. Struggle to get up and go to the gym. Struggle to eat well when their mind's in turmoil. If you've got peace in your mind, you can do anything else. And so that's why I think it's so important to pray to God and make your requests be made known unto God, and ask God for his peace to keep your heart and your mind. And then that will give you true stability. So that would definitely be my first tip to both people. In terms of for young people, this is something I think is so important, because I think it's a lost art in this world that we live in today. I would say to young people, respect your parents. Respect your parents. Parents love their kids. Parents want the best for their kids. And so the advice that your parents will give to you, they're giving it to you because they've grown old enough and been seen enough things in life to know what's best for their children. Today I read an article today of a young boy, 16 years old, who stabbed another young 16-year-old in London at the New Year's. And when he was in court, his parents was in court crying, and he said to his mum and his dad, "Oh, I love you." But this young boy is probably going to have to go to prison for a long time. And his parents, I imagine, would have been advising him, don't carry a knife, don't carry a gun, don't sell drugs, don't get involved in this or that. And because he's not listening to his parents and he's done what he's done, he's got to pay a heavy consequence because of it. And I feel for young people today, if you listen to your parents, you're on the road to success. Because most times, not in every case, but in most cases, parents want the best for you. They don't want you to get in trouble. They don't want you to go out with the wrong person. They don't want you to end up in a career that's not going to help you. They don't want you to be with the wrong crowd. Respecting your parents, I think, is a big tip for young people today.
So, Gary, question then,
yeah?
Question, just a question. I go play angel advocate now, right?
Okay.
So, I agree with you, and that's how we've been raised, yeah?
Yeah.
However, there are some parents out there, right? What, to me, it's like they don't know what love is.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is to like love the child, and how far does a child have to go? What do they have to go through before love, as I say, love can turn into that horrible word called hate? And resentment, probably. So at what point does love and honor your mother and your father maybe change for some people on the end of some abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, where that word where you just said love and honor your parents, which obviously that's how we've been brought up. It now becomes, I can't do it no more. I can't do it no more. I get better love from maybe an uncle or a sibling, or they're showing me real love, or a person with a partner. That's what's showing me what real love is. You know what I mean?
Well, do you know what I think? I think we all know what's right and what's wrong. All of it. And as young children, we all love our parents. And but as we get older, we start to see where maybe our parents wasn't as effective in one area as it could have been in another area. For example, you're a child growing up, and your parents always been teaching you something that as you get older, you know is not right. That's what you have to let go of.
Right. Okay.
For example, in the Caribbean community, back in the day, most kids was beaten with belts. Proper beaten. If you got this one, you're beaten, beaten proper. Whereas nowadays, nothing happens. So it's gone totally the other way. I believe that parents should discipline their children, but I don't believe that parents should be beating their children. As a person growing up, you start thinking, well, this beating thing isn't really right for kids. So that's something that we should stop. So once we know what's right and wrong, as you get older, you think, no, I'm letting that go. So even though your mum and dad will give you advice on the road, if some of that advice they're giving to you, you think isn't right, you let it go. You don't hold on to that advice. You think, nah, do you know what? That's not good advice.
True.
So I think it's important to have wise counsel around you. I always, there's a couple of people who I know. I love to tell them things because I know they're only going to tell me the truth. They're not going to tell me what I want to hear.
Very true. Very true.
Truth. If they think I'm right, say, Gary, you're right. If they think I'm wrong, Gary, you're wrong. I'm happy to. They're the only people I want in my life.
Yeah.
I only want honest people in my life. So as another tip, to have honest people in your life. People who will tell you things, even if it's not what you want to hear, but the people are going to be honest with you. Because that's going to help you. Honest people would definitely help us in life. So that's I think is another answer to that question. True.
So the final one then, Gary.
The final one is this is what I'd say. The final one is
young or old then,
and whether you're young or old, anyone, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself, and we touched on it today already. Investing in yourself could mean reading some books. Listening to some podcasts, listening to some messages on YouTube, getting around good people, getting on an educational course, doing some open university courses, going to learn a trade. You know, in schools nowadays, we learn so much in schools that's got no relevance to your life whatsoever. And it really, some of it is a waste of time. And so if you understand that, you can start saying, what can I do? What's going to benefit my life? How can I invest in my life? I think learning about finances is definitely a great way for anybody to invest in their own life if you learn about finances. But if you're an older person, you can still think it's not too late for me to learn about finances, but it's not too late for me to invest in myself. I might think, right, let me go and do that plastering course and move from there to become a plasterer, or let me go and do that plumbing course, or let me start exercising, let me start eating healthy, let me start being disciplined in my life. This is all investing in your own life. If you don't look after yourself, who's going to look after you?
Point.
You know, I tell people, if you look after your body will look after you. So investing in yourself could mean anything, but anything what you can put good into your life, put it in.
Absolutely, that's true. And you know what, Gary? We get me. It's like we've had to find out because you've never been given a silver spoon.
No.
I've never been given a silver spoon. It's what we've had to do and learn and get on and navigate our way by guidance. You know what I mean? By guidance of the Most High, from our ancestors to guide us, as well as we guiding our own liquid destiny, what we can control. You know what I mean? And as you say, it's great to sometimes, especially with young people, impart what you know with them. Although some of them may still want to find it their own way. You know that there's a little bit of sometimes, you know what, Mr. So-and-so said or Miss So-and-so said.
Yeah.
what uncle said, or you know what I mean.
This is why, for example, the position that you're in right now as a coach is a powerful position, because when you're a coach and you're actively involved in people's lives, sometimes you become more than a coach.
Oh, absolutely.
You become a role model.
Yeah.
Sometimes you become an advisor. Sometimes you become a counselor.
Yeah.
And so there's so much positivity that I know that you put back into people's lives. People can drop something onto you. Oh, Martin, this is what I'm going through, or this is what so-and-so said, or this is what so-and-so did. And you, as being a wise person for the journey that you've had to go through in your life, can give wise counsel to these people. So these people aren't just getting training in terms of physical. Sometimes they're getting stuff that's going to help them even mentally on their journey.
Definitely.
I definitely commend you on the work that you're doing for the coaching that you're doing, all the stuff that you're putting back into people's lives, empowering people to take control of their own bodies. It's an amazing thing that you do. But even this, what you're doing, podcasts, it's so important to get people's stories, because every story,
that's right.
And some stories, if you listen to them, there could be something in that story that you can take to help your own life.
Yeah.
So that's important.
True.
Yeah.
Gary, we're gonna summons everything up now, but there's one thing what you didn't do.
Go on.
Right. Every championship winning title you had, you know, you didn't tell me. I know, but just quickly put it out there as to what you did, how many you won, how many times, you know what I mean, you defended your title, local and national, Yeah.
Well, do you know, I probably mostly think about the bigger ones rather than all of them, because you know, like when you go into championships, you can become a Midlands champion.
Yeah.
And so I never usually even think about the Midlands titles. I've seen guys today who say, "Oh, I'm 4 times Midlands champion," and that's a good accolade to have.
Yeah.
But I think in my time I might have won 10 Midlands titles, but I've never ever thought about it, not even once.
Right.
I've never thought about, oh yeah, I've been Midlands. I think about the national titles. It's like, example, when you get people who become world champions, they don't think so much about, oh, I used to be an area champion, or I won a British title once. They talk about, listen, I was world champion. So they talk about the things that they've had rather than the things on the journey. So I won junior ABAs a few times. I won NABCs.
When you say a few times.
Well, I'll tell you what happened once.
A few times go, that as a number, you know.
Yeah. True. I went to the junior ABAs, and I won it. And usually you only can go in national championships once a year. So obviously every year you get older and your weight category changes as you get bigger. Yeah. And so I went to the junior ABAs and I won it, which is a national competition to see like who the best fighter is. It's like your British champion then.
Yes.
And so after that, they changed the date of the competition. So it started again that same year. So I went in it again that same year and I won the same title at the same weight, which is the first time anyone's ever done that, like ever in the history of amateur boxing. Like you've won the same title at the same weight in the same year. No one's ever done that before, ever. So like I was the only person ever to do that. So that was like winning 2 junior ABAs. I think I won 3 junior ABA titles. Yeah, I think it was 3 junior ABA titles that I was won. Normally you can go in it twice, but I was able to go in it 3 times because the date changed. And I won the NABCs.
Yeah, NABC, yeah, remember that.
Yeah. I didn't ever win the schoolboys though.
Okay.
I didn't ever win the schoolboys. I went in the schoolboys, but a couple of times.
National.
Yeah, sorry.
National.
Yeah, national schoolboys. Yeah, I went in there. Yeah. I think twice I lost to Welsh guys when I fought in the quarterfinals.
Right.
Both times it was in Wales, in fights that, you know, obviously when you go to Wales, especially back then, and you're fighting, it's. Remember, you're fighting the judges, the referees, everyone.
Knock them out. Got to knock them out, isn't it?
You're not knocking them out. It's like hard to even get the victory. So that happened a couple of times. Obviously, I was in the England squad as well. Box for England. What else? Yeah, that's it.
Where was England based at the time? Was it Crystal Palace?
It was based in London, Crystal Palace, which was quite good because when you was there, it wasn't just boxers there. There was like all the runners used to be there, all the athletes, all the swimmers were there, hockey players were there. It's like they had lots of different sports there. They had like a big block of flats that used to stay there. So you'd go there and you'd pay to stay there. and stuff like that, which was really good for me at the time. And you'd get good sparring, because when I was in the England squad, remember I was only 16, 17 when I was in the England squad. I'm sparring with people who was 23, 24 is in the Olympics, and people who won way more titles than even I've even won. Some of the guys that I used to spar. So we used to get good sparring there. So I used to love going, and they used to make you train 3 times a day. You get up early in the morning, training at 5, you run at 5, train again at 10, train again at 5. So you're training constantly. So it was a fantastic experience. There was a guy there, another guy who I shared a room with, who's passed away now, a guy called Dean Francis, who was a good
heavyweight.
He's a light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight, sorry. Dean
Francis. Dean Francis. He was a good boxer, British champion as well. He's a good boxer. He sadly passed away a couple of years ago, but me and him used to even share the room, and we fought in the same build together as well. So that was, and even Naz as well. Naz has been there when I've been up there as well. So it was a good experience to be around lots of different top fighters. Robin Reed was there when I was there. Robin Reed was there. I think there was so much people. I can't even remember everyone was there, but there was so many of us there at the same time, and you get to spar with these different people. It was just a great experience, to be honest. It was good.
So Gary, you've been to Sheffield? You ever been to
Yeah. Brendan Ingalls. I didn't even mention Brendan Ingalls. Brendan Ingalls was a
British boxing.
Oh yeah. I've been to the Sheffield one as well. But I've been to it. Errol Bomber Graham used to work there probably about 15 years ago. So he invited me to come up there. So I've been up there a few times up there.
I've done a few courses up there with the Team GB. With the strength and conditioning medical department, which has been good. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Just like weekend learning, which is always latest research and the new journals. Always a good.
Remember, like you said, you never stop learning, do you? So
that's right.
That you do is all more like arrows you can put in your quiver. So it's important to do these different courses. Yeah,
definitely. And a lot of it isn't changed. It's just how it's repackaged and delivered to a new audience. You know what I mean? To a younger audience and whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly
so it's important for me to always be upskilling, always, regardless, always be upskilling. And that is part of high performance living. You got to. You can't sit on your laurels for nothing. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
It's a new time.
Right, Gary. I'm gonna say, big up yourself, and I want to thank you for taking an hour out of your time.
That's cool, man.
Share some great information, past and present, and also share some of the habits, which I know people will get a lot out of it. And I'm sure in summer I will want you back on again.
Well, I'm happy to come back. Nice one. Thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate the time that you give me today.
Yeah, man, of course, man. And all I'm looking at is getting people on who have got something positive, knowledgeable, to share with people, and hopefully to inspire people who just need a little bit of inspiration or just need to hear your story. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, Gary, people know you, but people see and say hello on the street, but they don't know really what you've done, etc. Because everything is very generational, isn't it? People walk past for now not knowing what he's achieved. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about for me. Sharing bits of information, what hopefully, as I say, will inspire people. And I said, thank you very much for touching base. Have an amazing day.
You too as well. Have a good one. Respect. Thank you. Nice one,
Yeah, respect, Gary. Bless up.
Nice. All right, take time, All right, catch you soon.
Bye for now.
All right, in a bit.